I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is all the mods 10 to the sky. Now today is gonna get absolutely wild because today I plan on diving into the geors mod. And you may have seen, if you've been following like all the mods in the Skyblock packs and you've been following some videos, you may have seen some shorts, well, about this process and how you can actually farm geors and how powerful geors can be. Well, today I'm gonna blow your mind even further by showing you an incredibly cheap method of farming the geor. And then you're going to be like, wow, Just Dire Things is incredibly powerful. But hold up a minute. We're not actually going to use Just Dire Things to farm this stuff. Before I get into that, there are some things that I need to, well, mention and also do, because last episode we dived a little bit into Ars Nouveau. And so I have all of my Ars stuff set up, but I didn't make any upgrades for my gear outside of, well, upgrading it to all the Modium tier. So what I need to do now is add some threads, and this is the fun part. Now, I need to keep in mind, because we have different tier levels, I need to keep in mind, what do I want to be the highest tier thread? And so I've gone through and I think Thread of Vitality, Spell Power, of course, Magic Capacity, those are really, really two powerful ones. And then also, I'm going to try this Thread of True Sight, which is supposed to give me at tier 4 Lava Vision, and we're supposed to be immune to blindness and grant immunity to darkness and also grant us night vision. But the inability to toggle night vision is something that I'm not the biggest fan of. So we may not go with this and we may go with something different. And I do have something I could exchange this with, and that is the Thread of Wixie. But first things first, let's apply it. I mean, because as of right now, we haven't done anything. So we need to place it on an alteration table, and let's put this on first. So I'm going to toss this on here, and then this bottom tier down here, this is where I'm going to put my next level on all of my gear. So this one that you just seen me place on here, this is the Thread of Drigme. This is going to grant us extra looting whenever we kill mobs. And then the heart, based on the level, is going to give us extra health. So we should start to see our hearts kind of climb. It's not anything major, but it is a little bit of extra health. But the spell power, that is where things are going to really go wild. So spell power allows our, for example, hurt spell to deal more damage. And then underneath that, I'm going to give myself some knockback resistance. And this should give us, I believe, like around 45%, 15 per level, I believe. So the higher we upgrade our All the Modium gear, the more powerful these effects become. And that's why I said this gear is incredibly powerful, by the way, like insanely powerful. In the fact that you can use these threads, and the higher the tier goes up, the more these effects, the more these are effective, I guess I should be saying. So we'll go ahead and get this. This is Thread of Magic Capacity. This is going to give us more mana overall. And then we have the Warding, which is going to help reduce magic damage dealt. We don't really have to worry about that too much, but things like witches that hit us with potion effects, and we also have the dragon. I mean, those are things that deal magic damage. So then we have our boots, and it just feels kind of funny putting the sight on our boots. But yeah, I'm going to put the sight on the boots for right now. And then the Starbuncle is really, really nice. This grants us a little bit of mobility. And so we should have like 60% speed boost after equipping this. And I do see that I now have night vision, and I am a bit quicker at walking around. Looks really good, actually. The only big problem with, well, having night vision is it's really hard for me to see the shadows and the dark spots in our builds. So that's the part where I think I'm going to swap this out. We will have it though, because the cool thing is you can actually hot swap these. You can toss it on here and go, oh, you know what? I don't want that. So I'm just going to take that out. And for right now, I'll get that extra speed boost. But I actually want to try the Wixie. So this is pretty neat. So we'll get extra potion duration for every level. So if you put this in the highest tier slot, I mean, we're looking at quite a bit. It would be what, 15 times 4, 60, yeah, 60% extra potion duration. Like, that seems pretty good, especially if we want to take any potions down the road and potentially store them into an infusion pylon. Wixie tokens are kind of a pain to actually get. Yeah, obtained by using Dispel on a witch while it's at least half health. And this can be kind of tedious to do. You'd have to get a witch down to half health, first of all, and it regenerates itself, it heals. That's kind of a pain. And then you have to hit it with the dispel. So you have to have the dispel unlocked and use it as a spell. Or you can just go ahead and take the villager that we got last episode from spawning the villager island with the R's, and you can just buy a Wixie token. One of the potential trades is a Wixie token. And so, yeah, just a few emeralds, and we should be able to buy all of these. Yeah, there's 3 alone, just like that. Now, while this is crafting up, I do want to show you some other things that I have done. I have made 2 amulets of regeneration. These are really nice, and I am utilizing the extra curio slot for right now for this extra mana regen. So we have a total of bonus 6 from our curios. And then we also have this over here, the Ring of Greater Discount, which also gives us some mana regen, and we get plus 10 on the mana. And we get a reduced spell cost of now 40 based on this. So cost of spells by 20, but we have 2 of them, so we should get that bonus effect going on both, which is really, really helpful. Even though it may seem small, it is quite large when you are, you know, casting spells. All right, so let's get our gear equipped. I want to place this in the high level slot. And now you can see the Wixie we have at level 4, which is really, really nice. Oh my goodness. And how did, I guess I was like, where did I get my absorption hearts? I guess, yeah, that's right. The carrot maybe gives us absorption. Where are we getting absorption from? I guess it is the carrot. Also, by the way, if you want like quick night vision, and let's say that's something you want, don't forget the Pickle Tweaks does add night vision goggles, which are pretty nice, and they can just go inside of your head slot when needed. So if we're anywhere that actually needs this, it is just a quick equip away. However, this particular mod also does not have a keybind, but there are several mods in here that do add keybinds for night vision. And we could also make a night vision infusion pylon that has a toggle, so we can just flip a toggleable wireless lever, and that could also be a way. Okay. So at this point, I should ask you, what's your favorite armor set? Let me know down in the comments below, and let's get on with this. Oh yeah, and almost forgot to say also what mod is that armor set from? Like, be sure to specify that too. I would love to read those. Now, yes, geors. The resource mod that keeps producing resources indefinitely in very large quantities, and basically is going to be the best way to probably produce everything in this pack. But depending on how you actually go about setting it up can really change your gameplay experience. And also, depending on which tier you start at can really change things up. So, for example, I have not gone to the Nether and I have not gone to the End, but can I still set up a really well optimized solution for this? Well, I think I can. Now, I am going to be using Just Dire Things, and you might have seen a lot of videos. I've seen a lot of people suggesting, hey, Chosen, you should definitely set up the geors and use Just Dire Things. But when you take a look at this, and if you're playing any other mod pack and you take a dive at Just Dire Things, you realize, my goodness, Eclipse is pretty expensive. Not because getting Netherite is hard, even though it can be in a lot of mod packs, not this one particularly, but it can be hard to actually get to this tier. You have to go all the way to the End. It is a very stark contrast. You go from Overworld straight to the Nether, which in this pack we didn't have to actually go to, and then we have the End, which we do actually have to go to if we want to get the Void Shimmer Goo. And then we have the next tier, which gets you the best tool that you could possibly use, and that requires you to take on the Warden. Yes, going back to the overworld again. But here's the thing, to farm geors, do we actually need the highest tier tool? I don't think so. Now, don't get me wrong, going to at least the Celesti, which it requires you to go to the End, would be a good idea, because it is at this point that you actually unlock chargeable tools. And even more than that, you unlock the ability to get something called Drop Teleporter. And that allows you to teleport whatever it mines immediately into a container. But we also really don't need that, especially if we're going to be farming something directly at a position. Like, we don't have to worry about that too much. So today I want to challenge myself, and I want to do this without needing to even go to the End yet. Now, before I show you exactly how I plan on doing this, well, we do have to actually make the geor itself. So let's go ahead and take some diamond. I think diamond is a good starter geor to allow us to really start to make this stuff. And we need to figure out exactly how we make this bud. So the bud is going to require 1 block of diamond, and then we essentially cast that on top. And so we just cast it on here. That's pretty easy. We place that inside, and we need 9 diamonds inside of here to be melted down. Now, I am unsure if they have allowed you to essentially break the buds in this pack, but just in case, you could use a cardboard box or mechanism really easy. If you do place these down and you wanted to pick them back up, using a cardboard box is pretty easy. Or you can even use a cut paste gadget from Just Dire Things, which is another great way of picking those buds up. But there we go. We now have this casting. And while that's casting, I did want to mention these edge lightings are so cool now. I don't know if you have noticed that you can do this, but this is one of my favorite lighting mods, Simply Lights. And yes, you now can customize specifically what side by shift right clicking on here. So if you wanted this to be like an edge light, you can actually just remove one side now, and you can have it up against a wall like that. Great. But there we go. There's our bud. And let's see. Before we do anything with this, I would say like maybe you could break this, but I'm not going to do that just yet. Like, let's see. It says we can break it. Oh, it does give us back. Okay, so it's good to test, I guess. I mean, it's not like it's super expensive to make one of these. This is great, but that completely breaks my brain because that is definitely not how buds work on Amethyst. But this is fine, right? So we have our Geore. It's just going to grow really slowly, right? And it's not like twerking's doing anything or anything like that. So the way that we can make these grow faster is by using, well, the Applied Energistics growth accelerators. Actually, the same way that we set up our mystical agriculture, right? So really we are farming this the same way technically, and this is going to be pretty slow. I mean, it is fast, way faster than doing it without these, but we can actually go a bit faster by upgrading our growth accelerators to make this a lot quicker. But this is ultimately the idea. We grow it quickly, and then we break it, and then we get ourselves some shards. And I'm not sure if doing this with fortune grants us any more, but that is something that I should probably look into. I mean, if we were to base this off of the regular amethyst buds, then the answer would definitely be yes, because those are normally affected. And it looks like we're getting 4 shards already. I mean, that's already a lot. Each one of these equates to a singular diamond, so that's already really fast. So for right now, I'm going to forego the need of fortune, but we may come back and look at this in the future. Right now, I just need to worry about getting the growth accelerators, and let's see how quickly we can speed this up. So we have a couple of tiers. We have a cranked growth accelerator, which sounds awful. You have to turn a wooden crank in order to get that to work. Then we have the upgraded directional growth accelerators. Forces bud to grow in a specific direction up by default. Right click with a directional modifier to change the direction. Interesting. And then we have a boosted growth accelerator, faster than your average growth accelerator. Okay, so we have a directional and we have a boosted. Boosted seems to be the one that is going to be faster, whereas the directional apparently just makes it grow in a different direction. Now, some other important information. It looks like the boosted growth accelerators are 4 times faster, but they cost 5 times more power. So that is just something to note with those. And so I would assume that, well, we can't use the crystal resonance on these anymore whenever they consume that much power, right? So that's probably something I should think about, right? So that is not going to be enough. You can see accelerator conflict. This actually might be another major issue here. Okay, so interesting. It looks like if there is another accelerator nearby, or one of these boosted accelerators, it does not grow anymore. Interesting. So just completely surrounding this, it doesn't look like it's going to work. And you can see right here, it now says accelerator conflict again. Okay, so we can't have them too close. Interesting as well. But how much faster is this going to be? Okay, so we see that. I mean, it is growing it pretty quick, but it could be faster. So you know what? Let's force it to only go in one space, and we might end up also utilizing a directional one, because that's going to be important. I wonder if that actually forces it to go just specifically up. And let's see how fast it is just with these extras on here, because it doesn't look like this is triggering. So there we go. And that's fast, but not crazy fast. Okay, so now I am seeing the potential here. Okay, so we have a directional growth accelerator on this side. On the other side, I have a boosted growth accelerator. And now watch. Now this is almost instantaneous, and I don't know if these are affecting it in any way, but having this set up like that is very, very powerful, it seems. If I turn these off, does having these on here even remotely affect its growth speed? No, these are basically off. Yeah, these are completely off. So we don't even need these growth accelerators technically. And this is only ever going to grow on the top. So I'm assuming it's forcing all of its growth ticks to primarily focus on the top up here. Okay, so now that we know how this works, it's time for some concepting, right? This is powerful already. Don't get me wrong. All of these can be smelted down, but I kind of want something to automatically break this for me and to also potentially smelt it for me. That would be great, right? And that's where Just Dire Things comes into play. So if we go ahead and we make like a blaze tier tool. So from Just Dire Things, we can make this blaze gold pickaxe. And this blaze gold pickaxe actually is the first tier that gives us the auto smelter, which is fantastic. So if we go ahead and make an auto smelter, it will quite literally smelt the ore immediately for us. So beautiful. I now have an auto smelter upgrade. Very, very easy to set up. And we are going to need a smithing table to do this. Now with the smithing table, you can't like shift right click it. You have to put it in the center slot to apply these upgrades. So center slot next to it, bam, we have ourselves a blaze gold pickaxe that automatically smelts whenever we break. So look at that. That is now immediately being turned into diamonds. But it's also using up durability, which is another problem. Or is it? See, even though this tool has abilities and it also has durability, we can completely nullify the need for durability whenever we use a mod such as modular routers. And this is where things get absolutely wild. Now, keep in mind, once you do apply it to this module, you can't really get it out, I don't believe. And it doesn't actually take something that is like super broken like this. So let's grab a bucket of lava real quick and let's heal this thing. Let's go ahead and grab that. Just dig a little hole here. Toss our tool into lava, which is one of the cool benefits of this particular gear piece. And I just repaired it to full health. And we can quite literally apply this to a module, and its active modules are going to work. That is the wild part. So all we got to do is take a modular router, for example, and let's place this on top of here. Inside of our breaker module, we're going to set it to break down. And then we should be able to specify the specific block that we actually want it to break. So we can have it wait specifically till it reaches full diamond cluster mode, switch it to match any block. And this is what we actually want it to break. Very easy to configure that. And when we place it in there, you can see it's breaking it. Now it does leave the diamonds around, but that's actually easily solvable as well. And actually in a really lag-friendly way, we can solve this. And that's by using the collector from Zycraft Machines. And the collector is a very, very powerful tool that basically picks up the items before they turn into entities in our world. And we can take a barrel, like a sophisticated barrel or just any barrel for right now. Let's go ahead and place this up here like that. And then we'll place the collector like so, and that should be within range to collect. And as soon as I put this back in, you can now see that it is collecting it instantaneously and no items are dropping into the world. Like our magnet, for example, can't even pick them up because they're not actually turning into entities. They're immediately going into the chest. Now, if I'm going to scale this up, I'm probably going to want acceleration upgrades on the modular router. And that should make this break incredibly fast. So let's go ahead and make the max set here and put those in there. And now as soon as this grows, it is instantly being farmed. This is great. Now, of course, instead of having a barrel pick it up, what you could do with the modular routers here is, yeah, you could just place the collector directly in the modular router for it to go in its buffer. And then just in the other slot, just have a Cinder module that sends it to anywhere you want it to go. So just think of the possibilities with this. Now, this is an early game solution, as in my opinion, the better solution later on is to definitely have the higher tier pick, like the pick that can teleport the entities immediately. That is going to be the best option, hands down. And you can probably still do it this way, and it doesn't even cost power. The power is only being consumed by the actual accelerators. This doesn't consume any power. So yet again, modular routers is just showing off. Honestly, just showing off. It's super powerful, and as you can see, it only is as powerful as you use it. Now, just when you thought this was over, we could actually extend this even further. Because as of right now, the only upgrade we put inside of our tool that is inside of this breaker module, well, is just simply the auto smelt. But it can actually hammer up to a 3x3 area. So if we optimize our space efficiently, we could have a little 3x3 area here that contains, well, a few more geor. I think we can set this up in sort of an X pattern where we have a geor here, a geor here, here, and also over here. So we could farm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a total of 5 like geors at a time within one modular router configuration. It is going to require more of these accelerators, but remember, we can't actually put more of them on here than what you see right here. So we have to be very specific with how we lay it out. After thinking about this a little bit more, I could actually, if I want to expand this out and not keep this in a compact 3x3 area, I could go ahead and do this as well, where we put the directional growth either on the bottom or the top here. And yeah, then we can have up to 7 running, because we do need a central focal point for this to actually function from. That is sort of required in order for our next breaker, well, hammer module to actually work. But let's throw this stuff together. I went ahead and made some of the geors that I could fit into here, and we'll put the smelter on here, and then we'll also throw the hammer. And this is going to allow it to mine in a 3x3 area. We can shift right click to be able to see that we do have the hammer settings right here, 3x3, and then of course the higher tier tools you go up to, when you go all the way up to the Eclipse, right, it can do a 7x7. So you can really start to expand on this if you really wanted to. So let's see, is my configuration going to work? Let's start placing these in, and already it looks like it is going to work just fine. I went with gold, redstone, ancient debris, which is really important. I think ancient debris is probably one of the best that we could be farming right now. Coal, of course, and just look how quick these just instantly pop into existence. It's so good. Now keep in mind too, you can put enchantments on this. So if you did have any enchantments that affected things, enchantments also get applied to the module. And yeah, I mean, there we go. So this tool is ready to go now. We'll set it to the down, set the whitelist, and then we'll do the diamond geor cluster, because we only have to match the one that is trying to break initially, match blocks. And then we're almost ready to go. I think I want my collector to collect into the modular router, and then we can go into a barrel. And I just want to use this as an example. We can have it go into anything. So for example, we can have it go into our AE interface, and we can use disks and all kinds of stuff to manage our items, which I think would be a really good idea. But let's see, we'll take a cinder module that is an MK2, so it can be wireless. That is going to send to that barrel from here the contents that is inside the buffer, and we're going to collect the items into the buffer with a collector that is going to go on top. And I think that is just about it for this setup. I mean, we just simply need to put this on and hope that it works. Well, it broke it sideways for some reason that time. It's kind of interesting that it chose to do that. I wonder if, because when I originally tested this, I did have it placed against the wall to break it as if it was facing a direction, and it worked just fine. I didn't actually account for it breaking in this direction like this. So it's not actually breaking facing downwards. So now with this in mind, what I could do is I could take this whole setup here and essentially have it facing like on a wall, like in a wall format, like on its side. That could honestly look even better. So this is kind of what that configuration is going to look like. I kind of already like it this way, but to be able to change it, we do need a directional modifier to be able to change the crystal growth direction. By default, it is going to try to grow that crystal forward, but we actually need to grow it facing the north direction, or whatever direction in your world you want it facing. And then you need to make sure to apply that. So I just clicked it. It says north. This one now says north. And that one is north, north, and now this one is also north. And that's all of them. We just need to put them back in place and get the power hooked up. And I think this format will also work. Let's just hope that this modular router actually respects the orientation of the modular router. Yeah. And the only thing I should need to change is the back direction. We just essentially say, hey, break towards the back. And when we put it in, that does appear to be working. Oh boy, that is already producing a lot of stuff. And then in this case, I'm assuming putting the collector on just like that will work just fine. And then throw in the accelerator upgrades, which we do have in this one. We can take that, give it to this one. That will make the items transfer incredibly quick. But we will need stack upgrades, by the way, to make this be able to keep up. And the max stack upgrades you can put in is 6. And let's see if I turn this back on. Is that going to keep up? Oh boy. And that is looking crazy. Okay, yeah, modular router definitely having a hard time keeping up. So it might be best just to have the collector collect directly into an inventory. See, it's all about testing, right? Being able to get this. Now, it looks like sometimes we might get stone pebbles. If we actually end up breaking some of these prior to the full growth, you do get a little pebble in that case. But I mean, this is really fast, really fast. All right, so moment of truth is my concept that is honestly pre-anything going to work. And I think it is. So I've got my netherite barrel with my stack upgrades down here. And all I've got to do is place this in. And we are not going to be using a cinder module, so we can completely scrap those. We don't even need a stack upgrade because this isn't going to be collecting anything at all. It's quite literally just going to need to be breaking. So let it rip. All of the items should be generating, and there we go. That is quite efficient, honestly. Quite quick. Very noisy, but it works. Okay, and yes, this is really fast. Yeah, I don't even know if I have like the ability to test the rate. This is increasing because it does 4 every operation, right? It's just about 4 every time you hear it tick. And like realistically, how many of these do you even need? Like you don't need more than just like 1 of each geor. Okay, maybe later on, like for uranium, you might want to have like just 1 of these dedicated to uranium possibly, but I mean, nothing. Like this is great. Now I did a little bit of like sort of power research here. I had my power hooked up. I was monitoring the power output overall on the network over here through the network statistics on the output line. And I think if, I mean, probably give or take a few RF per tick, but roughly 1,772 RF per tick is what is required to run this and keep it running. It is a constant power drain, so you don't have to worry about it fluctuating while it's on. It's just going to constantly be consuming that whether it's running or not. But I want to go ahead, and I was looking at all of the different ores required that we could actually farm from this. And I was looking at this, and this actually divides perfectly into sets of 3. So what we could do, we can have a set of 7. This divides perfectly into 3 separate sets of 7. So I'm thinking in a layout, we have like 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. And then maybe we can have multiple of like just a single type. Because for example, not all of these drop like 4 at a time. This one, for example, the ancient debris cluster only drops 1. So it might be beneficial to actually have just 1 dedicated to the geor cluster. And I'm not sure if any of the other ones are like that, but it would just be nice to have all of them actively running. I've just had this running, just playing around and testing different ideas. Like this hasn't even been running for very long. It is incredibly powerful. I feel like powerful is even an understatement. Like this, let's, you know what, let's go ahead and take this and let's get it implemented. Let's get this placed in. And I've built out a platform up here. So this is now reached up to the top level, and I've built out a platform up here, and this is going to be perfect. I also added elevators, by the way, to make it a little easier to get up to the top levels. Also, these elevators, well, they reach all the way down into the ground too. So we now have the ability to get up and down quickly. But I think this is like the perfect amount of space over here to line these up. And we could have like one that's up here, one here, and maybe one here. There's enough to maybe seat 3 per side. And we can also raise them up if we need more of them. But I think this is going to be a great place for this. Also, some important numbers. For those accelerators, you're going to need 5 of each if you're going to be farming 7 geors, at least with my setup, that is. Now, I do think this is going to be another job for, well, you guessed it, the Just Dire building gadgets. So I'm going to line this right here, and then right here should be fine. Actually, no, we've got to build this back. So back here, and I'm just going to copy it. I mean, we're just going to go into copy mode. I have saved my other pattern over here for mystical agriculture farms. I don't even think we're going to need any more of that, but just right click, shift right click, and then break all of our different pieces right here. Like that. And then with that selected, we go into settings and then reconfirm to recopy without the corner blocks. And now we are ready to paste in. Got to make sure to drop this down. I think I'm going to leave like at least a block gap like I have right there. I think that would be fine. Yeah, just like this is honestly going to be perfect. I think the hardest part is just figuring out where to place it in here. I'm going to go ahead and get this placed. And does it keep the orientation correct? Okay, so this is where I'm going to have to recopy this because the only thing it doesn't keep is the direction of the accelerators. However, it does keep the direction for the crystal growth because that was set to north, right? All of these got moved, but these do not respect the actual direction. So I do have to flip them. Actually, I think all of them, none of them respected the direction. Look at that. I have to rotate every single one of these. Huh. Now, just when I think I have everything set up and ready to go, it does not work. And that is because for some reason, the modular router, whenever you're using a tool, for example, the Just Dire things, I don't know if it's a limitation of Just Dire things or the modular router itself, but it actually doesn't know where it's at. So it is always going to either break in the 3x3 facing the north or the southern direction, but it's always going to be in that plane where it breaks a 3x3 from this face. So what it's actually doing is whenever I have it break this cluster right here, it's actually breaking the geor and the cluster inside, and well, anything else that's within that range, not actually breaking these clusters. So that means I do have to turn this on its side, and they have to be very specific in their orientation. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn all of these by using the, let's see, the cut paste tool. So we need a cut paste gadget, and I think that's about it. So, I mean, you know, overall, concepting and coming up with this idea has been really, really fun. So, I mean, you can't knock it. There are better ways, don't get me wrong, of doing things like this. Like, we could completely go about this in an entirely different way. But, for example, just to show you how it is functioning, if I have this card set to the back, and then I put it in, you'll see that it breaks this, which is unfortunate. That is definitely not what we want it to do. And it's the modular router is not going to break itself. So there we go. Now, also something I noticed whenever I was testing some of this stuff too, these are affected by fortune. So we do need to enchant some of our tools to be able to get that, you know, truly going, but we'll work on that next episode, I think. But anyways, cut paste gadget. Let's get that in place and let's get these things cut. So the cut paste gadget is pretty interesting. I could use like copper, for example, and I can just leave these blocks, thankfully. But we are going to cut this and just simply move it onto this wall. So to do this, we go to cut mode, we right click just like all of our other gadgets, and then we should be able to hit cut. That should cut all of our components. And of course, these things are going to fall and break, but this is where we can rotate this. And I'm hoping that it doesn't. No, I still have to go in and change all of the rotations again. But I want to place it, I think, right here on the wall. Yeah, that should be fine. Now, keep in mind where it does paste and place in, it is going to replace the things on that wall. So just keep that in mind. It can void the things it takes the place of, or will void the things it takes the place of. So as soon as we're done, we can hit paste. We can right click, and that is going to paste the blocks in. As you can see, it did void back here because that was air blocks, But yeah, I can just fill that back in. And it works. Oh, this is perfect. Okay, so we got to get some acceleration upgrades in here for modular routers. But outside of that, this is flowing perfect. And there we go. Once it gets in the rhythm, it is really, really good. That is what we want to see. And I'm going to end up getting more of these set up, but for right now, today was kind of proof of concept, seeing if this even works. And we learned a bunch of different things. We learned about the directional part of, for example, the modular router and the way that it interacts with the Just Dire Things hammer with the breaker module. We also learned a lot about whether or not these things are fortunable. I definitely learned about that. I learned about the new mod, these new accelerators and how they work. I mean, this is really, really cool. Super early game. You don't have to go to the end for it. You don't really need a whole lot at all. And really compact, honestly. In next episode, we are going to dive into fortuning and all of that fun stuff. And man, fortune alone, after my testing, it's going to be great. So I hope you guys are excited for next episode. We're going to dive into enchanting, getting our gear enchanted, and getting the access to enchanting up and running. That's going to make life so much easier, being able to duplicate enchants and all kinds of other fun stuff. And so if that's something you're interested in, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and give this video, guys, a huge thumbs up. And let me know down below, was this an interesting take on this type of farm? I would love to hear from you in the comments below. And guys, I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. And without further ado, it's time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that amazing thanks is going to go out to, if I can get thanks in there right, Cyranet. I think I said that correctly. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and just supporting my content in one of the best ways possible. And guys, I look forward to making more OP farms with you. And as always, thanks for watching.